Hello everyone, I'm Spicy, and today we're going to rate every single Mummies Alive episode on our tier list. Now, before we get started, please drop a like on this video and make sure to subscribe. I would really appreciate it. Also, make sure to join our Discord, which you can find a link to in the description below, and follow us on Twitter for more Mummies Alive content. I would love to see your tier lists as well. And with that, let's get started. Okay, so here we are on our tier list. I'm gonna read these episodes from best to worst, and my criteria for that is not only how good the episode is as a whole, but also how much it matters to the story, what kind of new elements it introduces, what kind of characters it introduces, and I'll try to keep it as non-biased as possible. So yeah, right here, let's get started with the first episode, which is Rah 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 Rah. And I think this is important enough for me to put it instantly in S tier. By the way, I should mention right now that I will initially put these in all the respective tiers, and I will change it later on to focus from actually making it look like the best episode of the overall franchise to the worst one, meaning that I may change their positions as the video progresses. So yeah. Anyway, my initial reaction for the first episode is to put it at S tier. Same goes for the second one, because I feel like both of these episodes are very important to the story overall. Now, we're moving off to episode 3, which is Back to the Future. Now, this one is an interesting episode because, on the one hand, it does introduce some very important characters, those being Anubis and Set, which are villains that appear again in many episodes. I just don't know if I could consider this episode important enough for me to put it in S tier. So for now, I'll just put it at A tier. Moving on, we have The Gift of Geb, another important episode that introduced a major villain, that being Geb. But again, I feel like this episode isn't really that much important overall. I feel like for now, I should put it at least in A tier or B tier. Maybe I'll put it in B tier for reasons I'll talk about later on. Moving on with Desert Chick, episode 5. Again, I'll probably put this near Gift of Geb for a couple of the same reasons I will discuss later on in the video. But yeah, it's like, again, this episode introduced a major villain, which is Apep. But yeah, I'll explain my thought process behind this in a bit. Now, High Noon, the episode that introduces Noon, instant D tier. I despise this character so much, but yeah, you will see. This may sound a little bit mean right now, but it will be 100% justified once I start talking about it. Dead Man Walking. Now, this is one of the episodes that doesn't really have that much of an important, like, it's not that important in terms of story. It's fine. The episode itself is really good. Like, it's a very well-written episode. It focuses on Rath, which is one of my favorite characters. I think this deserves to be an A tier. Again, as I mentioned before, I may change the position of some of these depending on how I think they fit from best episode to worst one. Moving on with Goodbye, Mr. Cheops, which I think is it Mr. Cheops or Mr. Cheops? I forget. It's a weird title. Get used to it. Mummies Life has some weird titles. I think this goes in S tier. Again, a lot of interesting and important elements are introduced in this episode. And also, I'm slightly biased because I love Chantra. She's one of the best villains introduced in the series. Moving on to Body Slam, which is an episode focusing on Armon, which is my favorite character. I think this deserves to go in A tier. I think this episode does the character justice, and it also has enough plot elements introduced that do return eventually, but aren't as important to the overall story as some of the S tier episodes. So I'll just put it in A tier. Pause is another interesting case. This one introduces a lot of mythology elements in the series. But what I mean by that is not just Egyptian mythology elements. I mean just elements about how the characters work, how this universe works, and it has really cool dynamics with the characters. For example, the entire episode essentially boils down to Nefertina turning evil through some means, and the mummies arguing on what's the best action to take, which I find a really cool dynamic for them to take. I think I'll put this in A tier for now. Curse of Sekhmet, a lot of similar elements to this episode as the previous ones. It's a little bit less important in terms lore-wise, but I still feel like the quality of the episode deserves it to be in A tier, so that's where I'll place it. I think this is Dog Bites Mummy, and it's a fine episode, not really as important overall, so I guess I'll just put it in B tier for now. What else do we have here? We have Reunion, which is kind of important. It introduces essentially what is the pharaoh of the series. I can't get into lore-wise. I can't explain the whole lore of the show right here. It introduces a very important character to the story. I feel like some elements in this episode may be a little bit redundant, but I still think it fits into A tier. And for those exact same reasons, I'll also put the Prince and the Presley. Again, it's kind of funny how Pause, the Curse of Sekhmet, Reunion, and the Prince and the Presley all kind of mirror each other in these pairs. Like, they have similar story elements, which I'll talk about later on. Egyptian Kid, not really an important episode overall. It's not bad, but it's not important in the slightest, even more so than these B tier episodes, so I'll just put it in C tier for now. This is The Face in the Mirror. Again, this is an episode that is really good for mythology-wise. Like, you can do a lot with this episode. There's a lot that's being implied with this episode, and it's also fun overall, so I'll just put it in A tier as well. I should probably move these a little bit faster. Okay, so we have Miscast, and brings back a villain introduced in the previous episode, that being Body Slam. I think this is a fine episode. I think this deserves to be in B tier. It does make a villain from a previous episode return, which is already, like, continuity-wise pretty good. It's just like a fun little action episode, nothing much to it. Sleight of Hand. This one goes instant A tier. I actually did watch this episode with a couple of friends online some time ago. They weren't the biggest fans of it, I'll be 100% honest, but I really do like what this episode tries to do. It's a really fun concept. I love it. This one is Missing Ja-Kal, which is, by the way, episode 19. Now, this one is interesting. I feel like it does some things that could be considered important, but then again, the plot of it just kind of feels like a more generic action show thing. I'm tempted on whether to decide to put it on A tier or B tier. I guess I'll put it in B tier and think about it in the future, maybe. Yeah, I'll just put it in B tier. Ghoul's Gold. Literally not important whatsoever. And it's the same because it's an Armon episode. And as I mentioned, I love Armon. This one is the bane of my existence. This is Tempting Offer. I think that's the name of the episode. Yeah, I think it's Tempting Offer. It's the return of, again, one of my favorite villains, Chantra. It's horrible. It's bad. It's a bad episode from so many angles, and I want to talk about this when time comes. Another kind of bad episode. Loss of Face. A lot of people did like this one. I remember when I put a Twitter poll and asked a lot of people, hey, from these sets of Nefertina episodes, which one do you guys like the most? A lot of people voted for this one, and I really can't see why. This episode is not that good. Kid Scarab is interesting. It's an episode of the villain who, like, disguising himself as a little kid. And it sounds weird, but it's just one of those episodes that just for sheer amount of, like, what is going on? Like, it just makes you ask, like, what is this? It's just, for lack of a better word, just a shitpost episode. I strongly feel putting it at least in B tier. Married to the Geb, again, is like, it's a cute episode. Nothing much is being established. It introduces actual ancient Egyptian mythology elements, which is really neat. It introduces the ancient Egyptian mythology trade of Geb being the spirit of the earth being married to Net, the spirit of the sky, and I think that's kind of new. I kind of like it when they introduce actual ancient Egyptian mythology stuff in it. So I'll put it in B tier. Up next, another Noon episode, instant D tier. I'll explain why later, hopefully. Now we're moving on to my favorite episode of the series. Not the best one, but my personal favorite, which is A Dark and Streaky Night. Instant S tier. Again, I'm trying not to be biased. I legitimately do think that this episode is a great episode. It does a lot of unique elements for the series, and I think what it accomplishes definitely makes it fit into S tier more than any other category. I'll explain why in a bit. This one is peeped or pepped. I forgot. Pepped. I think it's called pepped with good intentions. And this one is tricky. This one I will put at B tier. I know it's kind of like So far, I realized I included both A episodes in B tier, but I don't see how this is any more important than any of the episodes featured in A tier. So I guess I'll just see as I move along. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Huxley, aka the drug awareness episode. I'm not even joking with that. They did a legitimate drug awareness episode, and it's actually kind of fun. It's one of those episodes that doesn't take itself like too seriously. It has fun with the idea. It has some really out of context moments in it, and I feel like this is just a fun little episode. It's not the best one, but it's just fun. B tier. This one is Monster Truck Mania. Doesn't matter overall to the story. Barely adds anything new. The story is not bad, but it's kind of just all over the place, kind of weird. C tier. Eye of the Beholder. After one amazing Chantra episode and one of the worst episodes of the series, we get our final appearance of this character. And it's good. It's not S tier, but I feel like at least it's A tier. Again, I'll explain why I put most of these where I put them later on, because I do have thoughts on all of these episodes. This one is 3 O'Clock Rock, another weird title. I think most of the titles are actually references to other movies. But yeah, this one, not that much important. Introduces Best like very late into the series, where it doesn't even really matter introducing new villains. C tier. It has like at least one cool moment in it. It's not absolute bad, but it's like there. Now, object of his affections. This one is interesting. I can't call it good. I feel like this episode has has a lot of problems, honestly. It has one cool thing, and that is that it actually concludes a character arc for the series. But I just can't help but put like on any of, not even B tier, not even C tier. I think it just fits to go in D tier. And again, I'll explain why later. Bird Mummy of Alcatraz. Fun concept, fun idea, doesn't introduce that much, but up until the climax, this one is a really good episode. So I guess I'll just put it in B tier for now. Honey, I Shrunk the Mummies. It's a fucking 90s just trope of like, you must have like the shrinking episode. You must have like some of those episodes that just exist to just what's the word? Just do the tropes. This is a tropey episode, and for what it is, it's fun. I guess I'll put it in I can't put it in B tier. I'll put it in C tier. It has its moments, but it's just another tropey episode. Now this one, I forgot the title of it. What's it called? I forgot the episode title. Fake fan. But seriously, this one is really good. It's I can't believe I forgot the episode, the name of the episode. Anyway, I guess I'll try to explain what goes on in the plot. Essentially, Nefertina and this random ass guy called Biggs Bingsley have a little brief of a thing going on. It's actually just a little bit wholesome, and it has one of the tropes I actually do love, with like the mummies interacting more with like everyday people in San Francisco as a whole, not just doing action stuff or just powering up. It humanizes the characters more and more. So I like this episode. I think it's good overall, and this character actually plays a very important lore. No, a very important role to the last episode, which we'll see in a bit here. Who's who? The body switch episode. Again, another one of those tropes, another one of those 90s, 2000s cartoon tropes. You have to have the body switch episode. And I'll be honest, I won't put this in C tier despite it being a trope, because this is actually another great out of context episode. I feel like this has a lot of funny moments in it. I actually really do like this one. I think it's fun what it does with the characters. I'll put in an A tier. I'll put in an A tier. Maybe I'll change. Maybe I'll put in a B tier. But for now, I feel more comfortable putting it there. My Dad the Hero. This episode was written by Seth Kearsley, who directed the series. No, he produced the series. My bad. Who produced and I think directed a couple of episodes. I could be mistaken, but yeah, this episode specifically is so good. Like, it's one of the best episodes in the series. It does so much. Such a cool storyline. Such a cool focus on story. It's just so good. Instant S tier for me. And the same goes with these 3 sets of episodes, which focuses on Ja-Kal and his brother Rath. It's just, first of all, one of the rare occasions, not one of the rare, the only occasion where we see parts of episodes. So this is like part 1, part 2, and part 3. It's done really well. I actually really do like it. But I will say, part 1 is good. Part 2 is also good, but not as good. Part 3 does kind of like fall short a little bit, but not by that much. It's still like A tier. But yeah, these episodes really good. I love these. This one is We've Got One. Again, weird episode title, but Rath gets caught by FBI or CIA agents. I think that's all the context you need to know for this one. Just, yeah, they capture a mummy and think it's an alien. It's the crowning achievement of out of context episodes, and another one of those episodes where the mummies get to interact with real people. So I like it. I'll put in an A tier. Yeah, I'll put an A tier. Now on to the final episode. Sew Me the Mummy. This episode, it's a Calypso episode. Let's get started by that. It's a Calypso episode. But for what it does, it's actually really good. It concludes a character arc, that being Joe the Policeman's character arc, which is a reoccurring character in the series. It features some of the best episodes in the whole series as a whole. And as I mentioned, the character from this episode, which I forgot the name of, Bix Bingsley, has a very important role in the final episode. So just for that, I feel like putting it at least in B tier. I wouldn't put it in A tier, but at least B tier, since it's like, it concludes some stuff, but it's still like a Calypso episode. So now that we have what I'm feeling pretty comfortable with, just as a whole, the whole episode's rated, I will rate which I think is the best episodes all the way to the worst ones in order. So, for example, I think the absolute best episode is My Dad the Hero. Like, it does so many things right. It's absolutely like an amazing episode. Followed by, I would probably have to say, maybe I'm a little bit biased, but followed by Goodbye Mr. Cheops. Again, this episode does some amazing things. It makes a really threatening villain. It adds backstory elements. Great animation, great characters, great lines, great writing as a whole. It's just an awesome episode. And for some of those reasons, I'll also put Dark and Shrieky Night over it. Again, amazingly written episode. There is a really cool scene with Nefertina in this. There is a really cool scene with Armon in this. They utilize the ability of Fright Sight, which you rarely see, but I think it's really cool personally. Yeah, this one goes here. I'll put the first part of the trilogy, of the Iraq trilogy. I forgot the exact name of the episode, but I'll put it above Ra 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 Ra, which I can't pronounce this title, but still. I think this episode is really good. Again, it adds backstory elements. It's important to the story as a whole. So good. And I think I will keep these last three in this exact row. The first episode is pretty good, followed by the second episode. These two kind of go together. And then, yeah, the second part of the trilogy is also pretty good. So I'll keep that there. And with that, we have the S tier ready. Now, for the A tier, I feel like just because I want to complete like the trilogy, I'll just put this at first over here. Because it's not even that much of a difference between the second part. The third part is pretty good, but it's not just as good. So I'll put in a high A tier. Back to the Future, I feel comfortable with it being there. It's a really good episode overall. It has some amazing visuals in it. I really do like this one. Has some amazing designs in it as well. Now, which one could I do? I'll do Pause. Pause, I think, like I mentioned why this episode is good. I will put it over here. I'll put it next to Back to the Future. I feel like this works. Followed by Dead Man Walking, which again, great episode. Followed by Body Slam. I feel like this episode is not as good as Dead Man Walking, but it's still pretty neat. And then The Curse of Sekhmet. Yeah, I'm comfortable with how these episodes are played out so far. Is there any other changes I'd make? I'd probably put the Tantra episode a little bit further ahead. Maybe around here, maybe. I may be a little biased if I put it next to The Curse of Sekhmet, but I don't mind. I'll put it there. I think it's important because it introduces characters, important to the main characters overall. I'll put it there. What's next? I'm comfortable with. I need to look up this episode's name, but I'll put up this episode. Maybe over here. I'm comfortable with that. Maybe I'll put We Got One next to it because again, this is a really fun episode. And yeah, I'm kind of comfortable with this being the order. Who's Who, again, maybe I'd put it, maybe it fits a little bit better in B tier, but I don't know, I just kind of like it being in A tier. I think it's one of those episodes that's fine just for being comedy focused. Mummies Life has some really good comedy in it for an action show. Now with B tier, and then we'll try to kind of get this going a little bit faster. I guess I'll start with, I guess I'll start with Dog Bites Mummy since I have more to say on this. It introduces Elaine, which is a character, it's a character the main character of the series, Presley, kind of gets involved with in a couple of episodes. It's not that important, especially because of this monstrosity here in D tier. But I'll put in high B. I think overall this is a good episode because it also marks the return of Seth and Anubis, which were introduced in what's the name? Back to the Future. Yeah, Back to the Future. Up next, I'll put Missing Ja-Kal because I feel like it's an episode that kind of plays around with the idea of like the mummies being able to function without a leader, or trying more like to function without a leader. It just plays around with the gimmick. It just plays around with the idea, and I can respect that. Up next, what could be up next? I guess I could do. I would introduce like Kid Scarab over here, but like it's too much of a silly episode. Do I favor silly over actual plot? Personally, yeah. I'll put it here. I'll put it here. I think like it's silly. Doesn't do much plot wise as much as the Gift of Gab or Desert Check. But yeah, I'll put it here. I'm comfortable with that. What's next? Miscast. Miscast. I will keep where it is. I feel like it's fine for the same reasons as these two episodes. Yeah, Miscast is fine. This one is fine. Maybe I'll switch to these two because, like, I'll be honest, I don't enjoy this APEP episode as much as the other one, and this one, like, kind of does. I feel like both APEP episodes could benefit from just a little bit of more writing. What's it called? Like, if only a little bit more polishing in terms of writing were to happen, these episodes would go way higher. But yeah, I don't know. I just don't feel like it. And I mentioned why this is low B tier. Again, I feel like this is personally one of my favorite episodes, but I can't put it on A tier. It's just a Calypso episode with minor lore added in. Over here, instantly I'll put this one on start of C tier because unlike every other episode here, I feel like it's more fun. This one actually has more action in it than the other episodes. The 3 o'clock rock also is more interesting because it introduces a new character, Bess. And I think it's fun. Like there's things that you are worth revisiting. Like for example, a scene where the mummies and Scarab briefly had to work together, and I like that stuff. I am a sucker for that stuff. Honey, I Shrunk the Mummies is also going further in because even though it is a tropey episode, it's still like a good one. It has some funny moments in it. I'll give it at least mid C tier. I think it's worth it over. Like even the C tier, I think it's worth it overall if like you have nothing better to watch. And then I'll keep these two where they are. This one is not as interesting. The Egyptian Kid is just Presley trying to kick a bully in the face. It's just okay. And Ghoul's Gold just has no stakes whatsoever. The main villains of this episode are just ghouls that want all the gold and don't even really hurt anyone. They just steal gold. That's the thing. Lame episode. Okay. This is where it gets interesting. D tier. I may be a little bit biased, but I really do not like Noon. I really do not like this character. He's annoying to listen to. The only thing I like about this character is the design. But he does stupid puns. He's not that threatening of a villain. He goes out way too easily, and he's just annoying to listen to. But still, I do not feel comfortable. Let me actually start with what I think has potential. D tier. Okay, so tempting offer. This episode sucks ass for a couple of reasons. Number one, Chantra, despite being shown as a very powerful character throughout the series, throughout the other two episodes at least, does absolutely nothing in this. She does absolutely nothing. The episode itself is stupid. The plot is stupid. She tries to like turn herself into a kid to like make Presley fall in love with her or impress her with her or whatever, so like she can steal his spirit. She's working with Scarab in the series. It's just stupid. It's a stupid episode. The only thing this episode has going for it is a little bit of romance between Presley and Elaine, which had more involvement in episodes I mentioned before, like Dog Bites Mommy, but that's literally the only reason why it's high D. I can't put it anywhere else. Okay, this one goes way further back. High Noon and War Everywhere. The two Noon episodes I'm fine with placing over here. Same goes with this one, which is Objects of His Affections. Again, it's a stupid plot episode. Talos falls in love with a statue, and that's the whole thing. They don't do anything that impressive. They don't really like improve much until the last minute, literally, where he decides to have Talos decides to have a change of heart and actually become a good guy, or more so just leave peacefully. It's kind of wholesome, but I don't think it's deserving for me to put it anywhere else. So just put low D. And Loss of Face, I think, is the worst episode of the whole franchise because everyone in it is so out of character. Like, it's a Nefertina episode and she is so out of character, or at least she's really unlikable in this episode. She like ditches everyone to like do her own thing, and it's done in the most mean way possible. There is a scene in this episode that still genuinely makes me uncomfortable, and it's like the whole point of this episode is Nefertina essentially gets a potion thrown on her that turns her into a quote unquote beautiful human. And everybody's just so impressed with her beauty. The mummies are like absolutely stunned with how beautiful she is. And there's this one specific moment in the episode which is so just wow. Like, how could they get away with this? Where like they all just like wake up during the night and are trying to like sneak into watching her sleep inside her sarcophagus. It's so uncomfortable. It's so out of character. The episode gets resolved in a silly and honestly kind of rushed way. It's just not a good episode. I'm genuinely surprised over how many people like it. But yeah, I don't know, just low D tier. I think that's about all the changes I want to make. So yeah, the absolute best episodes is like well, like 7 episodes are absolutely like worth it, must watch from everyone essentially. We see like the episode for the majority is just overall like really really good. There's only very few couple of miss episodes, very few bad ones. Overall, yeah, I am satisfied with this. I think I'm gonna roll with this tier list. And for that, I want to thank you for watching. I would love if you guys did this tier list and joined again my Discord server where you can post that tier list there, or follow us on Twitter where you can also reply to our tweet with your own tier list. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I guess I'll see you soon in another video. I'm actually planning to do a video where I'll showcase some of the absolute must-watch episode of the series. So yeah, make sure to check that out when time comes. Anyway, with that, I want to thank you all. I hope you have a good time. See ya.